Hello there, my crafty friends. It's Ashley Pfeiffer, the maker behind Stamped AF. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Canada. Usually I try not to bring so many stamp sets and products into one video, but they were meant to be. So I've had this idea in my head for a while, and I'm just now bringing it to fruition. This isn't the completed card. I'm going to do that with you, but I did go ahead and do a couple of steps before I pressed record. So I have a Whisper White top folding card base here, 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. I have a piece of champagne foil. I have so much champagne foil, and I'm not sure why. And funny story behind the embossed pattern on here. So before I get into that story, this is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Sorry to get 1/8 of an inch involved, but on to the funny story. So when I was die cutting this, I was using the stitch nested dies, and if you want to know which ones they are, so I used the third largest for this piece, which is 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, so we've got that one, and then I used the next one down, which is the fourth largest, to do this inner piece. Now, to make sure that it was in the right spot, I kept this right where it was to make sure it didn't move. So when it came out, the foil actually had the pattern of this. And while it was neat, I thought, not quite what I'm looking for. So I decided to use my subtle embossing folder, and I'm loving it. So happy accident. I have also gone ahead and I cut one of the wings from the Dove of Hope bundle. That's why this one's out. And so one of these detailed wings and one of these vellum wings. I'm going to attach those just with a little bit of Stampin' Seal. Talking is not my strong suit. Okay, so because I've embossed this, I don't want to use Stampin' Seal on there, so I'm going to use some liquid glue, and I'll just do that around the edges. Okay, now this is vellum, and duh, right? It's that beautiful flocked vellum, which is part of the Poinsettia Place suite. And spoiler, that is what we are using for the Stamping Society this month. It's also coming up in a kit class that I have this month, so you're going to see a little bit of it. But because it's vellum, I am just going to use a little bit of Stampin' Seal in the four corners. Which hopefully will be enough to keep this attached. Okay, so now we're just going to make sure we've got an even border on all four sides and give that a little press. That should be enough to keep it where it's supposed to be. If you want to do like a whole line around, you know what? It's not permanently stuck, so let's do that. One of my fears is that a recipient gets a card and it starts falling apart. So let's do this right. Since it is next to invisible, let's really seal it. Go. Get rid of that before I get something stuck to it. So again, make sure that you've got your border on all four sides or margins. Give it a nice press. And because we've used that subtle embossing folder, it's also a little more forgiving. If you can see the line between the flocked vellum and the embossed piece underneath, it is giving us a little bit of wiggle room. Speaking of wiggle room, my margin on that side is not so great, but it is what it is. So now I'm going to use another little bit of seal right here. You could pop this up on dimensionals as well. So we're going to have her little wing in there. And then I've got a couple of bells, and I want to have some ribbon on here. I've got a medium bell and a tiny little bell. And I'm thinking the metallic mesh ribbon, but oh, so beautiful. And can be squished right down to nothing. I used this in last week's video as well when I was doing the shadow box frame. I will link to that right in the corner up here in case you missed it. Okay, so we'll tie a little knot in there. You may not need a bow. I think maybe just having it as a knot will be enough, but nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? We won't know unless we try it. Any other cliches? Okay, so let's pull these little bows or loops. Oh, I think that's pretty. So I'm just going to trim my ends just a little bit. Something like that. And now we'll pop that up on a dimensional. And I think we're just going to pop this one up and make it look like it's attached in there, but it will just be sitting on top. So let's grab ourselves a dimensional. Now the only problem with this bow is that it is kind of big. I wanted to have the bell kind of right up there, but I think it's going to be in the way because the bow would have to be like way up there. So let's have, it's going to kind of look like a wedding bell, but c'est la vie. So we'll have a big full-size dimensional on that one. Not liking the way that ribbon is, but I need to let it go. Do a mini on this one. Tuck it in so it looks like it's attached to that ribbon, but it's not. There we go. That is our outside done. I'm not going to put anything else on there. We could put gems, rhinestones, whatever we wanted, but I think that is more than enough bling on the outside. And then on the inside, the sentiment that inspired it all: every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. Now, if you didn't see that coming, I don't know what to say. And I think because we're using champagne and a little bit of silver, we are going to go with gray granite. I feel like gray granite and champagne are one and the same. However, want to see, so ink that up nice. And I have taken to adding an image every time I add a sentiment, but because this has those little bells on there, we don't need to. It's all done. So that's it. That's the card for this week. I hope that you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed the simplicity. You could make this your holiday card. A couple little die cuts, one stamp. I can't tell if it's straight or not, but I hope that you enjoyed that. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, please consider doing so. You'll catch a new video each and every week. And I thank you so much for watching. All the supplies used will be listed below. So if you are in Canada, I would love for you to shop with me. We'll see you soon, my crafty friends. Bye.